Today, we're going to talk about team building tricks, and we're going to talk about how to cheat the mind into thinking that you know somebody better. Now, why? There could be many reasons for this. It could be that you want to make somebody trust you. You want to give them a sense that you've had a longer history. It can be that you simply want to create a bond between you. Maybe you want to sell them something. Maybe you want them to work better together. There can be many reasons for this, but we start here at my green screen. This is the first thing you're going to see, and why I'm going to take you to different locations. Well, I'm going to explain that a little bit later. And now as the second location, you're going to join me in my upstairs sofa in our nice upstairs living room. And it's very cozy. There's even a bit of blankets on it. It's nice green color. And as you can see, the wooden paneling on the wall gives it a kind of a homey feel. So now you get to see part of my home. This is the staircase. So I'm right now standing on the stairs while I'm filming this. And why? Well, I wanted to show you the rhinoceros. It's a stuffed rhinoceros. It's a toy. It's not a real stuffed rhinoceros. And I'm showing this, though it's one of Saga's toys, is because it gives a feeling that, oh, it's like a cozy, comfortable situation here. It's like we're getting to see beyond the facade. To show you this, I need to be a little bit close up because of camera angles and so, but here are fish. So right now, you get to see fish. See, they're alive, they're pretty, they're nice and colorful and exotic and green. This is our central heating unit. And the reason I'm showing you that is because it's such a cool machine-like thing to show off. It's big, it's industrial, it's technological. And it's also in our, whether we call it a scullery or a mudroom, or in Danish it's a borgos, but it's also in a different room. So that's why you get to see that here. And now we're outside. So now you get to see the house from the outside. Of course, this is a small shed we have and not the main house itself, which you'll also get to see, no worry. It's a different texture, it's a different feel. Now it's outdoors. Now we've traveled far, right? Here's a door. There's even a door handle. And if I open this, and I kind of open, then I switch to the next location. Maybe it's the same space as before, just inside. Maybe it's a completely different space because we went through the door and now we're in here. So obviously we link those two in our minds. I promised you a bit of the house and you get that in the background. So now we've gone outside again. We've moved once more. And now you're getting to see the house. It's cold. There's a little bit of snow on it. So we're also getting a feeling of different seasons, because inside, well, that's just inside, right? But outside, now it's clearly winter. And if I want to do a bit of trickery, then I'd show you this, because while it's obviously not summer, you can see from the tree that there are no leaves on it. It doesn't look that wintry. It could look like this was maybe fall or maybe early spring, while here is in the background is the gazebo, which has a kind of a nice outdoorsy look to it. We've now moved yet again, once more inside, and this is our greenhouse. It's not very impressive right now because it's winter, but it's still a very different feeling from being outside in the garden. And speaking of being outside in the garden, now here's snow. This is less than 1 meter away from the last camera angle. You can hear cars. It's obviously in somebody's garden. Is it in my garden? It is, but it could be somewhere else. And here, notice just by pointing the camera down, I get to catch the snow. I get to catch the white, and I get to have the sound from the cars. So this is obviously a very different location. And here the season is very clear. It's winter. There's snow on the ground. This could be anywhere. This could be any time. All you see is a blue sky with some wisps of clouds. We don't know if I'm standing in a garden, if I'm standing in a field. Where am I? It's not clear, but it's a different feel than before. And you can even see birds. Finally, one last bit before we go inside again. This is a shack, and in here is a lot of wood, firewood, that we use to light our fireplace. Now, why am I showing you this? Because it conjures up images of workmanship, and that, yes, he probably chopped it with his bare hands, and oh, they have a fireplace, it's so nice and cozy, why don't we have a fireplace? It gives you, it's not just a room, or in this case, an outside storage area, it also conjures up a lot of imagery. And here Here, it's a little bit messy. You can see there's some like carton stuff here, but there's also the stash, which means there's some cans of Pepsi Max, which are outside because of the cold weather, so they're nicely temperated for drinking. But it's also, it gives me an impression of me, right? Oh, they're the kind of people. He's the kind of guy who has that amount of soda. Oh, he drinks Pepsi Max. And also from kind of the way I'm positioned, you can see I'm kneeling down. I'm sitting here. This is not far off the ground. And I'm touching it. This is me explaining something to you, right? And now we're back. We're back by the green screen. We're back in my office. So why did I show you this? Why did I take you on this lightning tour of parts of my house and parts of the garden? Why did I show you different camera angles? What does this have to do with innovation? Well, it turns out quite a bit. Now, quite a few years ago, like the mid-zeros, there was a book that came out called The Game. And in it, there was a reveal of the community of pickup artists, men who wanted to use tricks and techniques to meet women. One of those, and this was, of course, the rage. People talked about it. Some were against it. Some were for it. Some said, yes, there are good tips, but it's very dehumanizing. There were all sorts of debates around this. I'm not going to get into that. But one of the techniques that was in that book was that you should move people around to different locations to get the impression that you'd spent more time with them. For example, there was a tip that if you were in a bar and you were on a date with somebody, you should switch tables during that date. And I remember some of us, we laughed and said, yeah, but is that really going to work? Well, it turns out that it does. The mind is tricked, even if you know it. I have a good friend who at one point was, after this had come out, we talked about, was on a date with a young Norwegian guy, and he was very open about using techniques from The Game in his dating life. And at some point they're at a bar and things have gone well and there's chemistry and they've ended up kissing a bit. And then afterwards she's like, wait a minute. During the course of that evening, he'd moved her around to 4 different tables in the same bar without her really catching on or noticing. And that meant that she felt that she knew him better, that they had a longer connection. And she knew, she'd read the book. She was aware of these things, but the mind still functions that way. Now, obviously, this is not a date, so I'm not moving you around because I'm trying to use any sort of weird pickup artist moves. That's not what this is about at all. But what it is to say that the mind is really bad at things like time and measurements, facts and figures and logic. But it is very good at change. It's very good at recognizing changes and things that are relative to each other. What that means is that the mind is pretty bad at figuring out, have we spent 5 minutes together or have we spent 6 minutes together or 7 minutes together? It's not really equipped to deal with that, but it can definitely tell you, have we been in 1 location, in 2 locations, in 3 locations, or in 4? And ironically enough, even if you take a 7-minute video, a keynote video like this one, pretty short, the more locations we are in, the more different views you see of me, so we experience together, the more it will feel like you've been with me for a longer time. And that brings us back to the green screen. Now, one of the nice things a green screen can do is that you can, when you're giving a talk like this, you can use it to project images, so you can show off different things. You can keep things moving. You can have some sort of pace. You can not only use it to support what you're saying, if there's like graphics coming up or there's images that relate to the talk, but you can also use it to give it a sense of changing scenery. But actually changing scenery is even more powerful. Now, again, why am I telling you this? Well, I'm telling you this because I wanted to show you how it works, how to give you an example of this in effect, is that if you're giving a talk, if you're communicating to somebody, like I am right now, I'm delivering a keynote address, then you can do it in front of one place in one location, or you can do like I did. You can move around, you can show off different places, and even if the content is the same, even that will give a very different result. That's one of the reasons we use slideshows. We can't really move between rooms if the audience is in one. But when we're doing them on video, we can patch them together from different places, and that gives a hell of a difference. So again, back to the innovation question. When can you change perspectives? When can you give the audience or the clients or the stakeholders or the partners or the employees, when can you give them an impression of more with less? When can you give them the feeling that there's been more variety by simply turning around, by filming their message from different camera angles, by taking the same people to different restaurants, by even such a simple thing as moving them around in a bar? Or how does that translate to your work life? I'm not suggesting you suddenly get into the pickup artist business, which is a sorry one indeed. But I'm saying that there are things that we can do to provide more variety and more sense of belonging and sense of companionship and more connection that are psychologically proven that we simply ignore, even if it's a simple thing like now we do it from a different meeting room, or now we go someplace else with the same people. Maybe use different Zoom backgrounds. Maybe use 5 different programs. There are many things you can do, digital as well as physical. And I'm pretty sure that one thing you'll be noticing right now, even if you weren't really aware of it, is that this last part of the video, where I'm sitting against my green screen, it's at a much slower tempo than the rest of it. Not because I'm saying something that's significantly slower, no, but because I'm not moving around. So it's now more relaxed and more. And if you had to judge at the end how long were the speaking segments in the different places, you wouldn't be able to do that accurately, because that's not how your mind functions. Now, there's one minus with this. That is that my arm is starting to hurt from this moving around and holding this surprisingly heavy camera. So when I want to do some innovation as to moving around, I think the next thing I'm going to look for is a tripod to bring with me. Thank you for going with me on this small journey. I hope it sparks some inspiration. Have a good day.